Well, I'm back. I've tried to make this video, and then Joe called. I ended up having some of his groceries here at my house that I accidentally brought him by mistake, and he had some of mine, so I had to take it down there and we switched it out. But anyway, let me start this again. I want to do this video about Warren Jeffs, but before I do that, I wanted to talk about something I've been hearing in the news. The girlfriend of the pharmaceutical mogul, Jonas Shacknai. Jonas Shacknai had a son that died a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. The boy had taken a nasty fall down the stairs in the mansion under the girlfriend's watch. And he lived for a few days, and then he ended up dying from his injuries. On the day that the little boy died, the girlfriend of Jonas Shacknai was found in the courtyard hanging. The police are wanting to speculate that it was a suicide, and I don't know why they say this, because she was found hanging, one, in the nude, and they've been saying on there that the majority of the time, if a woman's going to kill herself, it won't be in the nude. But she was also found with her feet tied together and her hands bound behind her back. So if you're found hanging up on the second level over the courtyard of a mansion in the nude with your feet tied together and your hands tied behind your back, does that sound like a suicide to you? That's ridiculous. That sounds like murder. Now, I'm not saying he did it, but he could have had somebody do it. They said that he even attended her funeral. They said that the people say that they were very much in love, and that he even got along with his ex-wife. Well, him and his ex-wife shared that son together, you know. And maybe he got along well with everybody because he never had a dead child before, and I'm sure that would make you lose your mind. But anyway, they're trying to speculate that it was a suicide. If she was going to go through that much trouble to commit suicide and tie her own hands behind her back, wouldn't she left a suicide note saying that's what she was going to do? Or they're trying to speculate, I think, that she's trying to set somebody up to make it look like murder. That's just craziness. But anyway, now, if they don't do any further investigation and continue to call it a suicide, but then there's somebody else going to get away with murder. No wonder murder's running rampant anymore, because people keep getting away with it. Warren Jeffs. Warren Jeffs is the polygamist that has, I think, over 80 wives. He lives in the polygamist community. I'm not sure if he's an attorney or not, but they said he wants to represent himself. I think Joe said he thought he was an attorney. Maybe that's why he wants to represent himself. But anyway, they've already picked out a jury for this. They said it consists of, I think, 8 women and 4 men, or either 10 women and 2 men. There's more women on there than men. But Warren Jeffs was accused of this polygamy and of sexual child abuse, battery against a minor. He marries these girls that are, I think the last picture that they showed of him on CNN, his latest wife come up to about his waist, up to about right here, standing beside of him. And then on their last picture, he was holding her like this, and it looked like he was holding a baby. And he's in his 50s, and she's 15. So come now, there's something wrong with this picture. These people in these groups of people say this is their religion. But now please, if they let him off of this because of religious beliefs, and he says that's his religion, well then the next person who's, let's say, a woman who has her husband cheat on her, can baptize him and say, well, that's her religion. In her religion, that's what you do when a man cheats. They can't send her to jail. If it's in the name of religion, they can't do it. So if they're going to take everything literally and say it's in the name of religion, and we can't do this and we can't do that, then that's wrong. This is child abuse. they was talking about the way that these women and children have no emotions, basically. Some of them do, and there's some of them that get out. Some of them try to get out, but they can't. But they say that they're basically emotionless. They have no emotion. They take, this is basically the way that from the time you're born, you're raised into this, so you really don't know any different. And they tell you it's religion, and they tell you everybody on the outside world, outside that compound, is evil. And from the time that, you're young, that's what you're taught. I imagine, and your parents are telling you this, you would probably be raised up to believe that. That's why they don't want you in the outside world, because somebody's going to tell you the truth. But to deprogram them from any kind of emotions, they said, from the time that they're a baby, when a baby cries, they'll put their hand over the baby's mouth until the baby stops crying. And they say it takes a few times, but after that, the baby will automatically just stop crying because the baby does not want that hand over its mouth. So that way they program, that's how they train to be emotionless and to show no emotion. They say that the other wives can hear the husband having sex with one of his other wives in the next room and have no emotion. This is kind of like, they're kind of like Stepford wives and Stepford children. And they say if you ever see the community, you'll see the little girls are dressed and almost like they're being paraded from a very young age, being paraded and shown off to be the next wife of somebody. The boys, and the way they dress is just so old-timey, Little House on the Prairie days kind of dress. No makeup, their hair is in a bun or pulled back or braided, and they got on these old-timey dresses. And the boys, they say, you can see the boys when they're young, and they look like typical boys because the people really don't care what they dress like. But they say that when the boys, the majority of the boys, when they turn between 12 and 13 years old, are taken and sit off on a dirt road. And it showed the fence, this big fence to this compound. And they take these boys when they get to be 12 and 13 years old and just put them outside that fence and make them go away. They're on their own from that point. They're cast out because they don't want them being competition for the wives, the girls that are coming of age to be a wife, for the older men. And these men are in their 40s and 50s and 60s, taking these young teenage girls, babies practically. Some people say, well, why don't the mothers do anything? Well, the mothers are involved in it themselves. They were a polygamous wife, and now they just naturally expect their daughters to be polygamous wives. And if you only have a couple of men in there with all these wives, and these wives are having all your babies, and you've got children by 80 wives, and aren't you marrying your children too? I mean, how can you keep up? And you've only got a few men. Some men have to be marrying into the family. Not only child molestation, but this has to be bigamy, child molestation, what is that word I'm searching for? Incest. There has to be incest thrown in there somewhere. But now, if he gets out of this, it's plumb crazy. Because if Warren Jeffs can have sex with these 15-year-old girls that he calls wives, and they're not even old enough to marry legally, then, and if he gets away with that, then how come you're going to put somebody in jail for put the 19-year-old boy in jail for having sex with a 15-year-old girl, even though it was consensual, and he has to register as a sex offender? Where would that be fair? That's not, but that's their country. So, I love the United States, don't get me wrong. I don't want nobody on here saying, well, if you don't like it, leave it. I love the country. I don't like the government's ways. The government seems like it sits back and basically lets a lot of these big wigs and stuff do what they want to do because they just don't want to be bothered. They don't want to bother with it. Just like on the news last night, they're talking about an atheist group. And if somebody wants to be an atheist, that's fine. If somebody wants to study Buddhism, that's fine. Islam, that's fine. Christianity, that's fine. Whatever you are is fine. But you need to leave everybody else's religion alone, because the atheist group is going to court, and they want, there's in front of the World Trade Center, at Ground Zero, they took 2 of the beams from the old towers and made a cross. And the atheist group is suing and wants that cross to come down, because they're an atheist group and they don't believe in God. They want the cross to come down. Now you watch the government make them take that cross down. You watch the courts make them do it, just to keep peace. How's that going to keep peace? The religion is being taken away from the people. Okay, in other words, if the atheist group does not believe in God, why is that cross affecting them? Why is it hurting anybody? It's not hurting anybody. Don't look at it. I mean, if you're an atheist group and you don't believe in it, why do you want that cross to come down unless every time you walk past it, it burns you? And if it burns you, it's telling you something. Just an observation. But it seems like anything that goes through court now comes out ass backwards from the way it's supposed to be. Lindsay Lohan, look how many times she's got a slap on the wrist and gets to go home and serve her house arrest. Casey Anthony walked. I bet Warren Jeffs will probably just get a slap on the hand and be sent right back to where he was. And another thing, they took all these children a couple years ago out of that compound for child abuse, and then they turned around and sent them all back in there. If that may be how he gets out of that too. It may be one thing that gets him out of that. Why would you send them back? Because apparently you're saying it's unfounded. Then why am I being charged if you didn't find anything and you sent the children back? That can be what he says. Just an observation. Anyway, well, it's like 8:30 in the morning, and I've already been out and about, and been down to the kids' house, and so now I've made this video, so now I think I'm going to go and eat me some breakfast and kick back for the rest of the day. I'm in for the rest of the day. I don't have to go anywhere else. It's supposed to be in the high 90s with the heat index of triple digits, they said. And tomorrow is supposed to be just as bad or worse. And they're saying that today and tomorrow could be record breakers. I am so sick of this heat. It's ridiculous. You can open the door, and it's only like I said, 8:30 in the morning, but you can open the front door and you can just feel the moisture, the warm moisture in the air already. I see what they mean when they say soupy, because that it is. It's going to be ridiculously hot, and I don't know how people survive without air conditioning. I don't know how they do it. Out here, they used to give fans to the elderly, and you know, to the elderly that didn't have air conditioner and fans. They used to give them fans, but in the past several years, it's just the heat's just been so ridiculous that they give them air conditioning now. They give them air conditioning units, and even the people that the projects where they don't have air conditioning, they give them air conditioners. I think you got to go pick them up, but they'll give you an air conditioner to put in your apartment, because you literally, you can't survive without it the way that the heat is getting to be. It's ridiculous. I used to be able to take the heat. I used to be able to take the heat good. You used to, I mean, I could be outside cooking out with my husband, have on long sleeves, and he'd be out there without a shirt on, spraying himself with a water hose. But since menopause, my whole body chemistry is just different. The first year, maybe 2 years, when I hit menopause, I would literally go to work in the wintertime with snow and ice on the ground without so much as a jacket on. I would take it and put it in the car, but I knew I wasn't going to need it because I would stay hot all the time. And I don't stay hot like that all the time, but I don't freeze to death like I used to. I used to be real bad about freezing to death, but I'm not so bad about that. I can tolerate the cold better than I used to, in other words. But this heat out here is just, it's getting ridiculous. It's just so bad. Anyway, well, I've babbled on enough, so now I'm going to go eat my breakfast. And I'm off for another whole week, so you might see me again. And until next time, bye-bye.